What is going on, everybody? Brett here, and we're back playing some more Battle Brothers on the Beast and Exploration DLC. Our Let's Play is on day 357. It's midday, and guys, we have slain the Kraken. We are victorious over the monstrous enemy that was that foul-tentacled beast of the swamp, and I'm pretty excited to have done that. I had very little hope at all when I started that video that I would be able to see it through to the end. There were no bug crashes, which is something that I felt like was working against us. And before we go any further, rip to Giro. We did lose a brother. We can go in here into the obituary and we'll see that he was, unfortunately, he bled to death. Had we not stripped down some of our bandages, we may have been able to save him in that fight. But losing one brother to kill a Kraken is not that bad of a trade. He was the most recent brother we've lost. We haven't lost a brother for a long time, and it sucks that it had to be him. He was our only beast slayer, but he went down fighting the ultimate beast, so that's kind of a death fitting for a beast slayer. So today's episode, we're going to be pretty focused. As I say that, the game's like, here, try something else. Alright, so we need to pick a new ambition. Only the most daring take on goblins in larger numbers. So we've killed tons of goblins already. There were few legendary mercenary companies throughout history. We are close to having our name become immortal and be counted among them. Okay. Great explorers become men of legend, going into the wildlands of dangerous business, but the tales we'll tell afterward will surely increase our renown. I'm actually not sure what that entails. Oh, just discover hidden locations. Okay. Well, I mean, that's pretty easy. You know what? Let's kill some orc hunters. Let's kill some orc hunters while I talk. And you know what? I'm going to save the game because off camera I went ahead and I rearranged all of our brothers. I added all of their equipment back. We can take a second to look. I got us back in pretty much our optimal formation. But we do have Willem. Let's actually bring Willem in here. We do have Willem in here to try and help him level, and aside from that, we are fine. So, as we kill these orc hunters, I'll talk about today's agenda, because it is pretty important, and it's going to be pretty well focused as well. So let's take these guys out. They really don't seem to want any of us, and I don't blame them. We have a couple brothers with some beat-up armor, but it shouldn't matter too much in this type of a fight. We should just be able to shoot them down, really, before it matters. So, part of our loot from the Kraken fight was a broken sword. So it's my understanding that it is a pretty integral step in a kind of a mysterious quest chain that I don't know very much about. I know that we have to bring the sword piece back to the Watermill, which is a place we discovered pretty early on in our run. And we have to give it back to the father, who seemed to be like grieving over his son, who went to try and slay the Kraken and never returned. So we're going to try and do that today. It's all the way to the west of the battle, of the map, I should say, and we'll get there. We'll turn that in. That'll probably be the last thing we get to do, just because of how far it is in relation to where we are now. And between here and there, we have the options of stopping at a taxidermist. So we received two amazing crafting ingredients that I've never even seen before, much less heard of. And I went ahead and looked online to see what exactly we could make out of those crafting ingredients. And I can't wait to show you guys what those things are. Wow, pretty bad misses here. And an unfortunate stun on Sir Chris, because we need him to bonk this berserker on the head if possible. Otherwise, we'll just shoot him and then whack him there. And that's indomitable as well. That chain weapon is pretty brutal. If we can kill him, that would be excellent. Okay, that orc young is doing his business. And I have a feeling they really want to go on Lance down here. It's not going to work out very well for them. And we don't want to step in if we can't take a hit. There we go. Good shot. Aerozel will back clean up, no problem. Kill that berserker. He's pretty much the last dangerous thing on this battlefield. 91% all day long, Berserk giving us the resets, and 4 Orc Young should not be a problem for our party at all. So I can jump in with Lance. Lance is so heavily armored, there's just actually nothing they can do to him. And there we go. Not bad. It's definitely one of those circumstances where hubris can definitely get the better of you, but I just don't see this fight going south, so we'll take them apart. So yeah, the itinerary, taxidermist, a few random fights here and there where our brothers recover. Now we have a good ambition to kind of explore, which is, you know, great for us because that's what we're sort of looking to do anyway. And we'll take advantage of that. We have the supplies, we have the cash that we can afford to just kind of do what we need to do quest-wise. Step in. Yeah, and that's going to be it for these orcs. So nice easy kills here. We have some room. In, I guess it was 2 episodes ago, I managed to finish an ambition to get ourselves a wagon. So now we have tons of space in our inventory. I think there's even room for one more expansion. The first one is the donkey, I do believe. And then the second one is the wagon. I think there's even one more where you can get into the 160s in terms of gear you can get. And we're going to run this guy down. No reason to let a single orc live. I don't like him that much. A little bit tedious. That's fine. So the crafting ingredients. Oh my gosh. So if we come across, if I was reading it right, if we come across some of the Nexerers, the ghoul guys, we definitely need to take that fight because they have crafting ingredients on them that we will want. Alright, so we get another event. The campfire shines bright, twisting the faces of men in flowing orange, as though they themselves were of burning stock. It is here you find Yaku the monk and Lance Glenfield Dragon Pounter talking to one another. Their discussion is, at first, an easy one. The monk pleads with the flagellant to set aside his whip. While you don't necessarily wish to step in, you can't help but agree that destroying your own body on a glorified gore schedule is not the best way to live. But then the flagellant retorts with something that gives you both pause. It is a phrase so well crafted that to think it might justify the man's personal habits has you pushing the notion out of your head as fast as possible. Disturbing, too, was the ease with which he said it. That such a soothing voice could be so warmly bundled in that scarred husk of flesh. What could muster it? The monk stammers for a moment, but then puts his hand to the flagellant's shoulders, holding him to keep their eyes on one another. He whispers, words which tickle your ears but don't pronounce themselves loud enough to have real meaning. You can only assume they are meant to, once again, persuade the flagellant to a better, less violent life. But again, the flagellant begins to respond, and so back and forth they continue to go. It is fascinating. Let's see where this goes. A pacified flagellant? What does that even mean? Deciding to let the men talk, you step away for a time. When you return, you find the flagellant sitting next to the monk. The two saw back and forth on a log, their hands clasped in prayer, as whispers of heavenly words part their lips. You've no urge to get closer to hear what they are saying, for it is a comforting sight in and of itself. While you have no dog in what way is best to appease the gods, you can't help but feel a little better seeing the flagellant put down his tools of self-torture. Guys, having Yaku has been this, like, amazing thing. I know the guy who kind of requested to have a character named Yaku. Maybe you weren't super stoked about getting a monk with some pretty low combat stats. But as far as these events go, you have 100% been MVP. I don't know what this means. You get +2 resolve. I'm happy about that. And let's go and check out... Oh my god, which flagellant was it? Oh, was that... That was Lance. So he's a pacified flagellant. After a long talk with a monk, Lance Glenfield was converted to a more peaceful means of expressing his faith. Now when he picks up a weapon, you can be assured it will only be pointed at someone other than himself. I don't know if that gave him different stats, though. Is it just me, or does his melee skill look lower? I don't know. I don't know. Very interesting. Maybe just that he won't hurt himself in events anymore might really just be the only differentiating factor. I'm tempted to take this fight here at this overgrown hideout just because it's along the way, and it'll help us earn more coins for our very expensive brothers. And sadly, being down one brother has opened up a slot for us. So if we see an exceptional brother, we may want to go ahead and pick them up. And actually, I'm not going to stop here. It is nighttime. Yeah, if they had some of the Nagzurhers around here, I would definitely take that fight. But without them, I don't really see any reason to. So if we see some raiders or something, we'll beat them up. No big deal. So those crafting ingredients we have are each worth 3,200 crowns apiece, which is an absolute ton. And I think they're going to make some of the best ingredients, some of the best crafting things that we could ever have. Buy some drinks. We deserve some drinks, that's for sure. And we can check in here to see what the prices are on things. We should just buy some tools because we will be running low. And we can come in here. Let's see what the sell prices are. Very good. Unfortunately, we don't have a ton to sell. But we do have some things. We'll hold on to the bolts. The next person we pick up may or may not be a crossbow brother. Anything is likely. And do we need more food? Not exactly. I'll buy some fish. Puts us up to 9 days. And we can check out the contracts. Maybe it'll be something along the way. Or they'll have us relocate in a way that we already want to go. So greenskins. Destroy. It's west of Tarsdorf. So Tarsdorf is way up here. That's not where we want to go. And then we can check out this one, which maybe is a delivery. Oh, it's to Horngard. We'll ask what it pays because... yeah, we need some time to think about this. We'll ask him what it pays because we may want to do that in the future. But for right now, we just really want to get to Friedewald to check out the taxidermist. So let's do that. Looks like we might get there around nighttime if we don't hurry. Come on, buddy, get in, get in. Perfect. Okay, let's see what we can get. I'm excited because I think we have what we need to make one of the best items in the game. And there it is. I have no idea what the stats are, but it is a Kraken shield. And we can make 2 of them, I believe. This shield, carved out of horn plate taken from a giant kraken, is stronger than any common shield. It looks pretty gnarly too. Make a potion of knowledge. So there's one other item you can make with kraken parts. And I think it takes the tentacle. But I believe you have to have... actually, there may be 2 more things. One of which I don't think we'll make because it's a potion that basically erases your guys' perks and lets you reset them, right? Which could certainly be very useful. The other thing... let's see, there's the shield and there's one other thing. It's an armor mod, and I could have sworn it takes plates plus Nagzurher horns. Now the recipes I was looking at could be incorrect, that's for sure. But let me do a quick little check here. I've got it kind of pulled up right next to me. So yeah. So it would be called horn plate. So you need 1 horn plate. We have 2 of these. Plus 2 Nagzurher horns. Plus 650 gold equals the horn plate. Which reduces melee damage to body by 10%. Which seems pretty strong. I like to make it just to see what it is. So while I have the ability to make 2 Kraken shields right now, I think I'm just going to make 1. And that seems pretty sweet. And we'll hold on to the other one. But the thing is, I also have the other very rare Kraken tentacle. Which, I'm not sure what other uses it has. I thought I read this correctly, but maybe not. Anyway, if this is all, we're definitely not going to sell it, so there's no reason to worry about it. It's not going anywhere. It may just be used in potions. And if that's the case, it's a little bit less interesting to me. It's called the Potion of Oblivion. The Severed Tentacle. But anyway, we're going to hold on to it. Who knows, maybe we'll make one of those in the playthrough. But we only have one of the Nagzerher horns. I think we need 2. But that's alright. I mean, I'm pretty happy to have anything from that fight. Buy some more tools. And we don't need to spend any more crowns than that. We could check out these contracts. Wow. From raiding parties. We could crush some raiding parties. This is pretty good. So I think this is what we're going to do now. They kind of want us to patrol this area. We could run straight here. I think it wants us to go to Brunelin to Ottendorf and then back again. We could run straight here, come up to here, take any fights we find, and turn in that quest and then head back. And in that way we could make ourselves a lot of crowns. We'll see. We shall see what type of fight this ends up being, whether it's difficult or not. But now that we have made one of the shields, so here's the Severed Tentacle, sought after by alchemists, and here's the horn plate. But where did that shield go? So guys, I'm going to give this to Aracel, who has been our sergeant for the longest time. He deserves a rather unique shield. And let's look at the stats. So 24 by 24 with 50 durability. So it's got more durability than the kite shield. It's got 9 more... Wait, it's got more than that, huh? No, it's got 9 more melee defense. 1 less range defense, but I mean, that's not really anything. And then 1 less fatigue. So, yeah, it's just a strict upgrade to basically any shield we could possibly have. I don't think we have anything that even comes close to it. For sure. And you'll notice we lost all of our dogs, of course. So now we're in the market for another dog. Oh my god, did we just grab Caspar here and replace our last Beast Slayer? So Caspar has been traveling these parts for some time, but not always in his current vocation. The Beast Slayer was once a mere hunter, armed with both bow and wisdom. However, on discovering a monstrous direwolf in one of his traps, he acquired a taste for hunting more dangerous foes. The days are uncharacteristically short, and the moon blooms bright every night. The Slayer feels a change in the air, and if he's going to fight what's coming, he'll need more than just himself to do it. I'm actually going to get this guy. We lost a Beast Slayer, we found a Beast Slayer. He's got a pretty sweet background. Let's see if his stats are any good. He has great range defense. Oh, man. And better melee skill than range skill. No stars in either. He's got pretty poor stars. Fear of undead. You know what? I don't like this guy. We have enough crowns at this point in the game. We're going to take his stuff. We'll pay him his compensation, and we'll send him on his way. We're at a point in the game now where we really can't have slots filled with mediocre and pitiful brothers. Would have been nice to get a replacement polearm / crossbow brother, because that's something that we need, but it's just not going to happen. But for right now, we're going to accept this contract. And we're going to fight some raiding parties, which I am not scared of at all. Now, they could be huge, I guess. We need to remember that Wilhelm is in our party right now, and he is not a fully leveled brother. And that we need to protect him. And if like a enormous sized group comes running at us, we need to possibly take him out. So while standing guard, a crazed peasant comes running up to you. He's slack-jawed, out of breath, hands on his knees. He's damn near vomits out the words. The dead, they're coming. Peering over him, you do indeed see a throng of rather pale creatures shuffling in the distance to arms. So while I was kind of hoping to fight raiders, we now seem to be fighting undead. Which is okay, I guess. I see brigands there. Which I don't think have anything to do with what we're doing. Okay, here they are. A necromancer, lots of armored Wiedergangers, a few fallen heroes, and a few... So the same fight twice. That's a little lame to me. But it's fine. But I think we will take out Willem here. Call this good. And because they have Geist, we'll just tuck in our brothers here. And let's see if we can fight them not in the woods. There we go. On open ground, I have no fear of them at all. In the woods, it takes just forever. And we fought much harder undead fights before. So, this is an easy way to make, 4,100 off the quest. And then we'll probably make several thousand in just selling their gear. This place loves us, so yeah, I'm pretty happy to take this fight. It even gave us a nice little high ground section in the center. Look at this Kraken shield. When we get the Naxurher horns, we'll make a set of armor that has the horn plate on it, and then we'll also give that to Arazel as well. And he could be like a badass Kraken guy, or we can switch it out to someone else and let him wear some kind of like golden armored motif if we're able to get that rolling. But focusing on the fight, I see 3 fallen heroes, 1 Geist, and 1 Necromancer. Never hurts to focus down the zombie that's been possessed, so he won't get all those extra attacks. I feel like we should step forward. I'll probably bring Lance as well. Bring him forward. I'll jump up with Hondo. No harm in stepping forward. We're going to want to get as close to that Necromancer as we can. And it's nice to completely deny them the high ground. We can bring Lance here. Save that for another brother to get a berserk reset. So there's Lance. Anyone that wants to come around this little bush area is going to get messed up. We'd like to get more war bows up here. Get ourselves a little more range. Burnfried Spear Wall already paying dividends for us, keeping them back. Getting us that pretty free damage. And I guess we just kind of spread the love around. Make it very easy for our brothers to get the kills when the opportunities arise. Fallen heroes are now in the mix. One of them is going to 1v1 Lance. He hit him on the head and almost destroyed his own helmet. That's how strong Lance's helmet is. It has damage reflection, so it's incredibly powerful. We could bust his shield, but we could also just hit him. Alright, big hammer blows. The mace does its job. So now we can see 3 Geists. We have 2 sources of rally on this squad. So Arazel and Ragnar You know, any bit of morale damage they do to us, we can pretty easily negate, especially if we just start getting kills. Our brothers should get pretty pumped from that. Now we wait, see who else jumps in. For a second there, I thought I saw a zombie or a fallen hero that I haven't seen before. I think it looked like another fallen hero. Without a helmet, perhaps? Wow, that was a huge hit. Well, we're not getting the head helmet for sure. We crushed it. Let's rally, bring our brothers back in line. No reason to risk any sort of routing scenario. Just like that, our brothers want to fight some more. So I think at this point we should definitely step in on the Geist and get the kills where we can. So 2 less Geist makes this fight much easier. And we knew that they were going to revive. There he is. That's the guy I was seeing with the long sword. Did he hit me on the head again and like nearly kill himself? That's awesome. That weapon is so... that helmet is so powerful. And there's a set of armor that matches it from the Emperor as well. Woo, we jumped out of his zone of control and into the bush. So the Geist Screams did nothing. We should be able to close the distance. Perfect. So now there's nothing stopping Hondo from jumping up and taking that swing. Which if we land it, will be huge. And we did. Perfect. Lance almost getting that double kill. Let's step forward. Really plays way better in my hands than in the enemies, how reluctant they are to kind of stop guarding the Necromancer. They basically wasted 2 very powerful melee guys to guard someone who's really not even doing anything. We'll see if we can't get around them. Or at least split them away from each other. Very nice. The farther forward we get our archers, the easier that backline fight will be. Because we'll be able to shoot at the Necromancer. And anyone who gets summoned, popped up, whatever, we'll just clean them up in the normal way. That is a lot of guys getting resurrected, though. Do we have any good lines of sight? Nope, sure don't. Boy, that's annoying. Let's pass here. And even now, they still don't want to like jump out to meet us. There, now we're on the Necromancer. And I guess we have to bring out our long axes here, so let's do it if we can. Nice, good kill. Alright, we'll tie this dude down. It's dangerous because we gave him a swing. Hate to tell you guys, but I'm already on your Necromancer, and I'm going to smack him down. The only annoying part here is that we kind of have to do this fight again. There goes the headless fallen hero that we dispatched earlier. That was almost very bad. I did not mean to take that shot. That was a slip of the finger. Now Hondo's in there. We can use Lance to keep cleaning these up. Let's get our bow back out on Raymond. That's by far and away his most effective way to do DPS. Bow out. Can we not switch? No. Okay. I mean, there's definitely some potential for us getting hurt here. This is what we need. We needed to kill that guy, and we did. So now we've got them completely surrounded, which may or may not be a good thing because that fallen hero has a surround attack. Can you switch? Yes. Does Wolfgang not have... I think Wolfgang's our only brother who doesn't have... Our only brother with a bow that doesn't have quick hands, I do believe. I could be wrong. Just got to keep the eye on the prize here, guys. We're going to get paid pretty heavy from this. Not to mention good experience. That's what we were worried about. He only hit one brother, but it was still a pretty scary thing. That did a ton of damage, jeez. And now we get a nice split. And Veridox is a little bit tired. We should have initiative over this guy, which should allow us to kill him before he's able to do anything. I hope. Although it's not looking good. Nope. He's going to be able to go first. Alright, don't kill anyone. Ugh. Just a little bit of damage. That actually wasn't that bad. And we should still be in excellent shape for the next fight. Just a little bit of armor damage, really. Decayed coat of scales. We don't need that. It's too heavy. But all of this stuff is going to be good for sell. Make us some crowns. And while I'm remembering, we should definitely be repairing it. Let's repair, 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 and repair. Okay. How hurt are you? Not really. It's more about the armor at this point. Yeah, like Sir Chris's armor is almost gone, so we should definitely switch it out. Anyone else? Nope, we're good. So let's go ahead and take on that second group. Which are probably up here burning this down. We don't want them to do that. That looks like the taxidermist. We need that for stuff. And it kind of looks like a forest battle, but not really. They're going to have to come out into the open. And if we want to use the hawk, we can. But I mean, we know exactly what's in their composition. We just need them to step forward. Wow, made it all the way to the front lines with possession. That's unbelievable. From outside of our vision all the way to the front lines. That's crazy. Flail here, military cleaver there. Those are some pretty intense weapons. Getting some early damage on them, poking them down. Don't really want to shoot at a guy with a kite shield. Very good. We should be able to take that guy out. Spear wall. Perfect. And that's what we were hoping for. Nice kill. Perfect. Easy zombie fighting. Just the way I like it. Spread the love. When they come into the melee ranks, we'll be able just to one-shot them and step over them. At some point here in today's episode, I'm going to talk about kind of the strategies and things that I use to take down the Kraken fight. What I learned to do and what not to do. I mean, I could always do that right now and just kind of put my brain on autopilot. I just hate this kind of multitasking because I feel like I'm not super good at it in this game. The Kraken fight. So what we learned after several iterations of the fight, first thing I want to go over for sure, is the appearance of bugs. So before you start a fight like that, know that yes, there are bugs in the game. Okay, I would recommend checking out Reddit or the official forums to see the types of bugs that other people are reporting. From my experience, my bug occurred whenever I tried to retreat. People have noted that they've got the game to crash when they beat the Kraken and went to the loot screen. Other people showed that just upon killing the Kraken, the game froze. So be very aware of that before you enter into the Kraken fight. Whether or not it's been fixed, I would have to say it hasn't. Just based on that one crash. And it was the only time in this game, in my hundreds of hours of play at this point, that I have ever seen such a crash, and it's at the Kraken fight. And it's really a bummer, because the Kraken fight, as you guys saw, was basically at least an hour and a half commitment time. That video I posted yesterday was, I think, an hour and 20 minutes long, almost all of it inside of a Kraken fight. And I started that fight, about 15 minutes into it. So it's a good hour and a half long fight. So if it's something you want to do, make sure you have the time to sit there and do it. And it's well worth planning out in advance, because it's such a grindy fight. So when we first went in there, we went in there with kind of our standard kit of brothers, right? We had 5 ranged units who kind of double as mediocre melee units, which works against some opponents. But what we really discovered that we needed was really high melee attack, melee stat, or melee skill as it's called in this game, in order to effectively, continuously free our brothers from the bondage of the tentacles, right? So as we played more and more, I realized, okay, we can't take as many of our archer bros. We have to take more and more of the melee ones, which we did. And that ended up being a solid strategy. We brought the bare minimum. We took our 2 best crossbow bros, whose armor piercing and just overall high DPS and low likelihood to miss. Coupled that with the fact that they also had pretty decent melee skills for what they were, made them pretty optimal choices. And we ended up running that with only 2 of them. Giro was one of them, and unfortunately he died from bleeding out, which probably was a bit preventable. Understanding fully now what the fight is like. So there appear to be basically 3 stages to the fight. The first stage is 8 tentacles, right? You've got 8 tentacles, they don't attack you. all they do is grab your brothers, right? And it's pretty much like a test. It's a small test. It's, can you deal with this? Because if you can't, there's basically no way you're going to make it past the second stage of the fight. And the second stage of the fight is the tentacles open up. There's still 8 of them, right? And now they're attacking you at range, and they do very good damage. So my brothers, being in good armor, made them able to survive several hits from the damage of the tentacles. Now, the damage of the tentacles was never really the scariest part. Having your brothers dragged forward through the swamp and not being able to free them, missing several checks due to low melee skill, that was always kind of the biggest fear. And once we adjusted our party to have less focus on range and more focus on melee, we were able to avoid that. Now, 2 perks that would have been very useful there would have been Pathfinder, to help us walk through swamps and to escape the tentacles. Another would have been Recover, to raise our fatigue. Now, something we did and we noticed pretty early on in our run was that we did not need shields. So I would recommend not using shields. We did not need them at all in that fight. And it was yet another thing that we could cut to increase our fatigue. And our fatigue in the last fight was much better than it was in any of the previous fights. Now, I will say an advantage we had going for us that fight was the terrain. And it was a pretty huge advantage. In any of the other attempts that I had, our company started on pretty rough, swampy terrain. And our successful battle was different because it gave us a path to retreat. And we were able to do that. We were able to retreat backwards from the Kraken and away from the tentacles that basically spawn never-endingly. Now, once we were able to get past that first stage of just unwrapping our brothers, we come to a stage, like I said, where the tentacles will attack you, but it's still the same thing, right? Your main focus has got to be on unwrapping your brothers from the tentacles. Having low fatigue at this point is very important. I could definitely see different builds or different characters basically failing at this second stage, simply because they don't have the fatigue to continue on. So, couple the fact that I stripped my brothers down, I took everything off of them that was not essential. I took off the shields, made it so that I ultimately did have the fatigue to sustain through the section of the fight where tentacles are a big deal. I'll also say, as kind of a helpful hint and kind of a pro tip, I guess, now that I've done it, my biggest pro tip would be, don't always attack tentacles, right? If you have a brother whose fatigue is becoming an issue, don't feel like you have to attack a tentacle next to you when it may in fact just be smarter to let that brother sit for a turn and recoup their HP. Because the thing is, there's always going to be a tentacle, right? By backing up, I gave myself a pretty severe degree of separation. So there was points in that battle where the tentacles were so far away that they actually had to catch up to me to get me. And also along that line of thought, dogs. Guys, dogs played a huge role in my victory. One of the things they did later in the battle was they scouted for me. So I backed up so far from the Kraken that I actually couldn't see it anymore. And I had no idea whether or not I was beating it, whether or not, the tide of tentacles was slowing down. So it was very important to use the dogs as kind of a buffer, right? They took a lot of hits for our squad. I lost every single dog I had in that fight, maybe as many as 6 or 7. And while it was an expensive loss, it was definitely worth it. There were points in my battle where the dogs completely tied down the tentacles, allowing them, forcing them to enter into battle with me in a very staggered approach, which ultimately made it so that I didn't have to deal with, 8 tentacles at once, on every single turn. Maybe there were turns where I only had to deal with maybe 4 or 6. So that brings me to what I would consider the third and final section of the Kraken battle, and that is the part of the battle that involves there only being 4 tentacles. The Kraken appears to be down to 25% HP or so, give or take. Could be 20%. I don't want to, say that number as if I know it exactly. Down to about 25 to 20% HP, and 4 tentacles, as I've already mentioned. And you have to get up close and personal. I know I feel like I'm kind of stuttering to organize my thoughts, guys. I'm sorry if that's unpleasant to listen to, but it's a pretty complicated fight, and I am, playing as I talk. But basically, the idea there. So, I had a lot of things going for me in that battle. Had I not brought my acid flask, which is an item that I would recommend, you have to kill lindworms to get it, which of course is in and of itself a challenge. The acid flask allowed me to destroy the head armor of the Kraken, which is in essence its only armor. It made it so that by the time I closed the distance and the tentacles were no longer a problem, because once it got down to 4, I was able to pretty much easily manage my fatigue and make it so that there was no problem managing the tentacles, but I found myself still having a problem with the idea of closing the distance to the Kraken in such a way that we would not get eaten by its mouth, essentially. So if I didn't explain that well enough already, let me just say that standing in melee with the Kraken head will get you insta-killed. So there's an extra layer of complexity there, because you cannot go into melee against the Kraken head. You have to either stand back 1 square away and try and hit it with a 2-handed polearm weapon, which is dangerous in and of itself, because the Kraken's tentacles will try and drag you there, and you're always kind of just 1 step away from its mouth, right? If you're actually standing 1 section away from its mouth, you're just so very close. The odds of you getting pulled in increase exponentially. The better way that I found was I dumped 2 acid flasks on top of it. It has a range of 3, so I didn't have to get, all that close to the head. It lowered the armor enough to the point where I could then take shots with my 1 remaining crossbowman. So had I had 2 left, it wouldn't have been as difficult. But the key point here being that past a certain point, simply killing tentacles no longer injures the Kraken, and you have to get in there and kill it, the old-fashioned way, so to speak. You know what? I'm not going to take this contract. It would be very lucrative, but I feel like I'm kind of, treading water here. I don't want to be wasting you guys' time. I hate that feeling. Let's look and see. Are the prices here still good to sell? They're a lot worse than they were, but I think we'll just sell anyway. Make some of that money. Okay. Make up for some of that money we spent on that pretty awful Beast Slayer character. And now we can keep on moving. So yeah, guys, I would recommend, if I had to make a recommendation, you don't need shields. You do want heavy armor. You want to have as much fatigue as possible. Don't take swings at every single unit that comes across your path, every single tentacle, because you don't always need to. But keep your brothers close together in such a way that no one is really too far out of reach of one another. Find solid ground if you can, and hold there long enough so that the tentacles stop coming until there's only 4 left, and then advance on the head in such a way that you can either shoot it to death with crossbows, dump acid on it, or stand next to it 2 spaces away with a bill hook or a long axe and beat it to death without getting grabbed. And I think if you can do those things, you'll be successful Ugh. I think you'll be successful in the Kraken fight if you can do those things. You want me to go east? I don't want to go east. I want to go west. They want us to go to Horngard. This guy wants us to find a place. Southeast? No. They all want us to go places we don't really want to go. Discovering things would be fine because it's part of our ambition right now, but I'm happy to head to Schlamberg. Not only do they have an armor and a weaponsmith that we haven't visited in a long time, they also have a kennel. So we'll be able to stock up on dogs, which is something I really want to do. I know these brigands don't want to fight us. That would be suicide. The only fight I would take right now would be Nagzurhers. Everything else I'm not really interested in. Made it here right at dawn. That's great. Everything's open. And now we're going to buy every single dog we see. Check out the armory. Maybe there'll be something cool. Nope. Nothing. Nothing we need anyway. Lots of good stuff, but nothing we need. Cheap tools. I like that. And I think we need some cheap food. That'll work. That should be good enough. Okay. Now I think we should go ahead and distribute dogs after we check out this place. So this place used to have... We came in here one time, I should say, and there were lots of nobles, adventurous nobles, which would kind of be a background I would be interested in. Those are top tier guys, for sure. Alright, let's get an armored dog. We have a couple levels as well. So Sir Chris, we'll take that. 60 resolve looks pretty good. And a little bit more fatigue. Arazel, let's get him up to 90. That's great. He's our sergeant, so we need to continue pumping resolve. And getting him up to 70 fatigue looks pretty good as well. And I'm pretty happy to have dogs again. Give him some armor. That's runner. Lord. Another Lord. Shiv. And another Maugrim. Oh, we have another one left too. Perfect. We bought the exact right amount of war dogs that we needed. So I don't know how excited you guys are for the Warriors of the North DLC, but there are a new type of dog that something I totally didn't see coming and expect. They're making warhounds, so these special like jacked versions of the war dogs that the Vikings use. So we discovered one place. I was hoping we would do that along the way. I was even going to come over here and check to see if there was anything else. We did. Interesting that someone fought a battle out here. And I might take some of these off camera, just to help us get some crowns and some experience and things. But the last thing I want to do before we go is enter the Watermill. So, I don't know exactly what happens when we enter the Watermill. The guy could just give us the sword. The guy could start a fight. I have no idea. I really don't know. Actually, it's been a while. Let me save the game. Save the game because I don't know what's going to happen once we go into the Watermill. And if it starts some kind of epic fight or something, I'm not prepared for that right now. Oh, good. So we had a lot of diverse food, so our brothers got happy, is what that was. Doesn't appear to be anything out here but the swamp. These look like great places to get eaten by a Kraken. Now that they spawn in the world, I don't think we can get to this island over here. It's a little irksome that there's islands that we can't get to. So much of our land mass in this game is covered by water. Maybe there's something out here? Nah. Okay. I won't postpone any longer. We'll go ahead and get into the watermill and see what happens. And if it starts a battle, then I'm going to have to, you know, decline and retreat. And maybe it's something I can look into and we can take it on. It's actually just so that I don't have to ever explore that area again. Let me save. Okay, so let's go into the watermill. We do have, and I'll show it to you before we hand it in, this here, the sword blade. So the glimmering blade of a broken sword you retrieve from the Kraken. In all your years of fighting, you never encountered such a masterfully crafted blade. Perhaps the sword could be reforged if you had both parts. So I think this other guy has the hilt. The old ghost man in the watermill. The elderly man is already waiting for you when you enter. He turns rather rapidly as though interrupted. So you have returned. And have you succeeded? Have you avenged my boy? Are you, sellsword, worthy? Would this make me worthy? The blade of the reproach of the old gods vibrates and hums. You hold it forward in both hands, the steel wobbling ever so slightly on your fingers. Smiling once more, the elder nods and turns his hand to the hanging hilt. It lifts up off its holder and floats across the room to your hands. There it turns aside and melds with the steel, becoming whole with a flash of orange and blue. It is one of the most incredible blades you've ever seen, with glyphs of moons and stars flaring along the fuller. When you look up, you can see through the elder's chest as he steadily fades away. My son has been avenged. His spirit can rest, and now so can mine. You watched as the finished sword lifts into the air and rotates with the steel pointed down. The cupboards burst open and strips of leather fly out and clasp shots of bindings that draw together to complete a sheath. I'll take it. Ugh. I feel like I'm about to get ambushed. It says to battle. Oh my god. Oh man, I don't know if I want to read this. I feel like, so I'm already at an hour today. I'm going to hit this button. I'm not going to read it. I can't like exit out of this right now. So guys, I'm going to call this for today. Thank you so much for watching. Oh my god, another epic battle, no doubt. For a sword that's called the Reproach of the Old Gods. I think I want this sword. I think I need this sword. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna read it. Let's read it before we go, and then we'll try this battle tomorrow. God, just wish me luck. I don't know if I don't know anything about this fight. The reproach of the old gods then falls, and you reach to catch it, but a ghostly hand steals it away. You look up to see the elder unsheathing the blade, revealing its fire and ice as though he brokered a new day and gloomy night in the very spectrum of its steel. He chokes with laughter. Avenge my son. Be worthy. Idle doings for simpletons. You did well to chase the carrot, sellsword, and for that I will kill you quick. Pauldrons and bracers and a chest plate rise out of the mill well, sheets of grain streaming off them to reveal their garish shapes, and the metals twist and float to the elder, fiercely striking his body as though they meant to armor the very anvil that helped craft him. The suit of steel comes together as its occupant croaks with laughter. Hands grab you by your shoulders and drag you out of the house. You are shielded by the sons of Verona. The elder Geist turns his head. A mob of morons, is it? Depart, the lot of you, and you shall be spared. I only ask that you leave me the captain, as I have already promised his demise. Steezy the trainer draws his weapon, and the rest of the company follows suit. The elder holds up the crepuscular sword in return. Though the steel is firmly real, the elder's body is rippling to and fro like a thinly veiled curtain on a moonlit night. He sighs, and parts of blue ether drip from his lips. He turns the blade so its edge faces you. So be it. Oh my god, that's like at exactly an hour, guys. I'm going to have to call it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, my name is Brett, and my channel is My YouTube channel is Good Talk Gaming. Guys, I'm fried. There's a lot of Battle Brothers. My brain is cracked open. I'm just wrapping my head around a Kraken fight, and now I have some other boss fight over some legendary sword. Wish me luck, guys, and I hope to gods, all the gods, that our crew is ready for this battle. So stay tuned, and I hope to see you in the next one, guys. Take care.